The man who stole $1.9 billion in front of the guard's eyes. Do you think that someone can steal artwork worth $1.9 billion only using simple tools like screwdrivers, an antenna, and a jacket? This is the story of Stephen Breitweiser, who stole $1.9 billion in front of the guard's eyes. How did he do this using simple tools? Well, let's dive into this incredible story. This story begins in March 1995 in the beautiful country of Switzerland. The main character, Stephen Breitweiser, is from France and is visiting the captivating town of Greer with his girlfriend, Anne-Catherine. They came to explore a magnificent ancient structure called Greer Castle, which used to be a medieval stronghold but is now a splendid museum filled with valuable artifacts and artwork from the Middle Ages. As Stephen and Anne-Catherine explore the castle, they walk through many corridors and large chambers adorned with numerous paintings. The castle walls have been transformed into a grand gallery, with paintings covering every available surface. Among all the artwork, one painting catches Stephen's attention. It was created by a German artist and portrayed a woman with grace and beauty. The woman's gaze seems to come alive from the canvas, captivating anyone who looks into her eyes. At that moment, Stephen feels an overwhelming desire to possess this painting. Despite never having considered stealing before, he is completely consumed by the allure of owning this masterpiece. He shares his plan with Anne-Catherine, expecting her to disagree and warn him about the risks involved. However, to his surprise, she not only supports his idea but also finds it brilliant. United in their daring plan, they return to the museum. They carefully assess the situation and realize that there are only a few tourists around, and the security measures seem lacking, with few guards and no surveillance cameras. While Anne-Catherine keeps watch, Stephen skillfully removes the painting from its frame and hides it under his coat. Together, they leave the castle undetected, successfully completing the theft without any unexpected problems. With this bold act, Stephen Breitweiser becomes the greatest art thief in history. He begins a remarkable journey, driven by his obsession with stolen artworks and the thrill of owning them. His path takes him across countries and continents as he relentlessly pursues stolen masterpieces. He targets 172 art galleries and carries out approximately 240 thefts. Astonishingly, despite the efforts of law enforcement, Stephen manages to elude capture, always staying one step ahead. What made Stephen different from other thieves? How did he execute his complex operations without getting caught? The operations were as simple as can be, much like Stephen's initial endeavor. Working alongside him, his beloved Catherine had become his trusted partner in these ventures. She was responsible for monitoring the corridors, while Stephen's task involved carefully removing the paintings by unscrewing their fasteners. With skillful precision, he delicately folded the artwork and discreetly concealed it within his ample jacket. One might question the level of lax security measures in place. The secret lay in Stephen's cunning choice of targets. If he had set his sights on grand museums and heavily fortified galleries, his capture would have been almost certain. Instead, Stephen directed his attention towards less guarded art galleries and museums. His tools of the trade consisted of a reliable screwdriver used to free the paintings from their frames, a collapsible antenna to redirect surveillance cameras in the targeted galleries, and, of course, his oversized jacket serving as a covert hiding place for the folded masterpieces. According to estimates by the New York Times, the total value of the stolen paintings and artwork amounted to an astonishing $1.9 billion. Consider the magnitude of that figure. Interestingly, Stephen never flaunted his wealth or indulged in opulent displays. On the contrary, he led a modest existence. Working as a waiter, with Catherine employed as a nurse, they resided in the attic of Stephen's mother's house, unable to provide themselves with a comfortable home. So why did they persist in such humble circumstances, despite their substantial thefts and the exorbitant value of the paintings they possessed? The answer lies in Stephen's refusal to sell any of the stolen art. But why? The reason was simple: He did not steal these masterpieces for financial gain. His motivation stemmed from a genuine love for the art contained within these paintings. Going back to the initial theft we discussed, Stefan took this woman's painting because he was genuinely captivated by its beauty and artistic merit. From that point on, he selectively stole paintings that truly resonated with him, driven not by their monetary worth but by his admiration for their artistic essence. Every nook and cranny of Stefan's unassuming apartment was adorned with paintings collectively valued at up to $1.9 billion. As odd as it may seem, this became Stefan's greatest advantage as an art thief. It was one of the reasons the authorities couldn't apprehend him, since most art thieves are typically caught shortly after attempting to sell their ill-gotten treasures. This, indeed, was among the primary factors that shielded Stefan from capture despite the hundreds of thefts he carried out. However, Stefan grappled with a different kind of dilemma, a voracious artistic hunger. His desire to expand his collection knew no bounds, rendering him insatiable and unable to stop his exploits. He continued stealing without a specific goal or a predetermined end in sight. This ceaseless pursuit persisted until he made a fateful misstep that would completely disrupt his life. The theft occurred in Switzerland, within a museum nestled in the city of Lausanne. In the year 1997, Stefan and Catherine infiltrated the museum, identified their desired target, and embarked on their usual routine. While Catherine remained vigilant in the corridors, Stefan diligently removed the painting from its frame. After unscrewing the fasteners, he carefully folded the artwork and concealed it within his jacket, following his customary practice. As they exited the museum, projecting an air of calm and confidence, one of the guards noticed Stefan's attempt to hide something secretly beneath his jacket. The security guard stationed at the entrance of the museum couldn't shake off a growing suspicion that something unusual was unfolding within its walls. With a hint of unease, he decided to take a brief tour around the exhibition halls, hoping to discover any clues that would alleviate his mounting doubts. It didn't take long for his gaze to be drawn to a conspicuous absence. A painting was conspicuously absent from its designated spot. Startled by this revelation, he sprang into action, determined to delve deeper into the matter. Just as the guard contemplated the implications of the missing artwork, Stefan and Catherine emerged from the museum, hurriedly heading towards their waiting vehicle. Acting swiftly, the vigilant guard intercepted their attempted escape, effectively thwarting Stefan's flight. Fortunately, the proximity of a nearby police station ensured a rapid response, and within moments, a group of officers encircled the scene. Left with no alternative, Stefan reluctantly surrendered himself, acknowledging the futility of evading capture. Consequently, Stefan found himself confined to the police station, awaiting his trial scheduled for the subsequent day. Given the relatively minor nature of the crime and the limited value attributed to the stolen painting, the trial proceedings were straightforward and uncomplicated. In an endeavor to sway the judge's opinion, Stefan appeared before the court, visibly anguished and consumed by remorse. He asserted that this transgression represented his initial foray into criminal activities, an impulsive decision resulting from a momentary lapse of judgment and an inexplicable desire to possess a painting. Underscoring his clean record and earnestly expressing his regret, Stefan aspired to elicit sympathy from the judge. Moved by Stefan's seemingly genuine display of remorse and taking into account his absence of prior convictions, the judge delivered a relatively lenient sentence. Stefan was placed under 8 months of supervision and ordered to depart from Switzerland immediately. The judge's ruling also stipulated that Stefan would only be permitted to re-enter the country once the supervision period had elapsed, effectively barring his return for the specified duration. While the punishment was not severe, it served as a reminder of the repercussions of his actions. Undeterred by the setback, Stefan persisted. In the years that ensued, he resumed his familiar pattern of theft, targeting various European countries, excluding Switzerland, of course. As time passed, the memory of his arrest faded, and Stefan began contemplating a return to the very country that had once dealt him a blow. 4 years later, in 2001, Stephen believed that the notoriety surrounding his previous robbery attempt had subsided sufficiently. Seizing the opportunity, he and Catherine boarded a plane bound for Switzerland, setting their sights on Lausanne, the city where his arrest had taken place years before. However, this time, their audacious scheme unfolded within the confines of a different museum, a meticulously orchestrated plan poised to make its indelible mark on the canvas of their criminal exploits. Within the vast corridors of the museum, Stephen fixated his sharp gaze on an ancient trumpet encased in a meticulously crafted glass display. It was a prized possession, more elusive to pilfer than the delicate strokes of paint on the canvases adorning the walls. Undeterred by the challenge, Stephen's overconfidence and audacity emboldened him to embark on yet another daring heist. Disguised in his customary overcoat, concealing his true intentions, he silently absconded with the trumpet, leaving the museum oblivious to his actions. Stephen, possessed with unwavering self-assurance bordering on arrogance, had elevated theft to an art form. 2 days later, Stephen felt the magnetic pull of the museum once again, and this time, he opted for a disguise to mask his identity. Accompanied by Catherine, a loyal companion in his nefarious exploits, he ventured into the revered halls once more. Catherine assumed her usual role, scanning the passages with a watchful eye while Stephen honed in on his coveted target, a mesmerizing painting that had captivated his imagination. Like a master conductor, he meticulously began the delicate process of liberating the masterpiece from its ornate frame, deftly navigating the intricate network of hooks and wires that held it captive. With utmost precision, he released the artwork from its constraints and concealed it beneath his coat, his heart pulsating with anticipation fueled by adrenaline. However, unbeknownst to Stephen, his past misdeeds had not gone unnoticed. A vigilant guard with an exceptional memory and a sense of duty recognized Stephen's face from a previous operation. The guard's intuition flared like a flame in the darkness, whispering suspicion into his ear. Word swiftly spread among his fellow sentinels, and they silently closed in on Stephen from all directions. Fate had orchestrated a cruel twist, ensnaring Stephen in an inescapable web of apprehension. His heart sank as the guards pounced, catching him red-handed in the act of theft, the stolen painting mere inches from his grasp. Consequently, Stephen found himself confined within the austere walls of a police station. His freedom was stripped away as investigators delved into the depths of his illicit activities. Desperate to avoid the consequences of his actions, he clung to a worn-out excuse, claiming that his transgressions were mere fleeting impulses, regrettable moments of weakness. However, this feeble defense crumbled beneath the weight of evidence and logic. The theft of the trumpet, swiftly followed by the calculated plundering of the painting, rendered his claims of momentary lapses utterly implausible. The authorities saw through his charade, unearthing a report that chronicled a previous theft in the same city, etched within the annals of history back in 1997. The account of a compassionate judge who had shown leniency during that episode now added a chilling layer of insight into Stephen's true nature, a serial thief, a predator whose actions followed a meticulously plotted course. Upon discovering this revelation, the Swiss police contacted their French counterparts, sharing every meticulous detail of Stephen's exploits. The wheels of justice turned resolutely, leading to the issuance of a warrant that granted the French police access to Stephen's sanctuary, an attic nestled atop his mother's humble abode. It was within those confining walls that his life as a thief had taken root, flourishing in the shadows, hidden from prying eyes. Now, the truth lay within reach, waiting to be uncovered as investigators delved deep into the covert lair that harbored Stephen's stolen treasures and concealed his darkest secrets. The police officers cautiously entered the dimly lit premises, their footsteps echoing through the silent corridors as they explored the house. A sense of bewilderment washed over them when they discovered the startling truth. The once artistically adorned apartment, with captivating paintings and intricate artworks, now stood empty and devoid of any creative expression. There was no trace of brushstrokes or impressive sculptures, leaving the officers astounded and perplexed. The inexplicable disappearance of the artwork left a lingering question in the air. How could such a remarkable collection vanish without a trace? The truth behind this mystery unfolded with the involvement of Catherine, Stephen's girlfriend at the time of his arrest. Upon hearing the news of his apprehension, she urgently reached out to Stephen's mother, conveying the gravity of the situation. Aware of the stolen nature of the artworks, Catherine pleaded with Stephen's mother to hide them immediately, wasting no time. Driven by maternal instincts and the urgency of the moment, Stephen's mother sprang into action. Determined to remove any incriminating evidence from the apartment, she meticulously executed her plan. Some of the stolen artwork met its fate in the relentless flames, reduced to ashes as a desperate measure. However, faced with the overwhelming task of disposing of the remaining pieces through combustion, she resorted to a different method. To avoid detection, she resolutely cast them into the depths of the city's meandering water canal, where they silently slipped away from prying eyes. Days passed, and in the bustling city, a peculiar phenomenon caught the attention of observant individuals. Whispers and murmurs began to circulate, spreading like wildfire among the townsfolk. Paintings that were once believed to be lost forever emerged in an unconventional gallery, the water canal itself. The news reached the authorities, leading to their intervention and swift action. As they meticulously retrieved the paintings from the watery depths, they soon realized the astonishing truth. Each artwork they recovered was a stolen masterpiece originating from various renowned European museums. The collective value of these pilfered creations amounted to staggering millions, leaving everyone in awe and disbelief. The revelation of this underwater art cache eventually reached the Swiss police, who were detaining Stephen in their custody. Unbeknownst to him, his unwitting thievery had inadvertently led to the discovery of a clandestine treasure trove. Overwhelmed by the weight of evidence, Stephen, consumed by guilt, began to reveal the intricacies of his illicit exploits. Even seasoned police officers and investigators found themselves astounded by the audacity of a single individual's campaign of thievery, spanning over 170 galleries across the European continent. Following his confession, the wheels of justice were set in motion. Stephen received a solemn sentence of 3 years behind prison walls, his freedom indefinitely curtailed. However, fate proved slightly more forgiving, granting him an early release after serving 2 years. Catherine, an accomplice entangled in the web of criminality, also faced the consequences of her actions, enduring a prison sentence of 6 months. Meanwhile, Stephen's mother, the catalyst behind the frantic disposal of the stolen artworks, faced her own share of justice. Confined within the walls of a prison cell for 1.5 years, she bore the weight of her actions and their repercussions. The aftermath of these tumultuous events cast a long shadow on the relationships that once held sway over Stephen's life. Catherine, having experienced the bitter consequences of imprisonment, chose to sever ties with Stephen, forging a new path that diverged from his tarnished existence. Unfortunately, Stephen's life after prison became an arduous battle against misfortune. The world beyond the prison walls proved unforgiving, forcing him to navigate the treacherous waters of solitude, financial destitution, and persistent despondency that settled upon his weary shoulders. In an attempt to piece his life together and find stability, Stephen sought solace in the written word. With pen in hand, he meticulously crafted a memoir, pouring his experiences and darkest moments onto the pages. His literary endeavor was titled Confessions of an Art Thief, a stark reflection of his turbulent past. Despite the profound personal significance infused in his memoir, the book failed to capture the attention of the masses, eluding Stephen's desperate desire for commercial success. Undeterred by the lukewarm reception, he soldiered on, drawing strength from the cathartic act of self-expression and the faint glimmer of hope that each page represented. Thus, Stephen's years after prison were marked by adversity as he struggled to rebuild his life without the companionship of Catherine or any contact with his mother. Following a series of rejections and closed doors, Stephen made the fateful decision to return to his illicit pursuit of stealing artworks. However, his motives had changed significantly this time around. Instead of appreciating the art itself, His primary goal was to sell the stolen paintings and accumulate wealth. It is widely known that those who attempt to sell stolen art are often the ones who end up getting caught. True to this pattern, Stefan found himself apprehended in 2011 while in the process of selling a batch of stolen paintings. A subsequent search of his apartment yielded the discovery of over 30 additional stolen artworks, resulting in his second arrest. Just like before, he received a 3-year prison sentence. Upon his release, Stefan found himself placed under constant surveillance. Despite these precautions, he was caught yet again in 2019, this time attempting to sell stolen antiquities on the online marketplace eBay. It is highly likely that these items had been pilfered prior to his previous arrest. Following his 2019 apprehension, Stefan's presence in the news faded away. Nonetheless, his name, immortalized by Stefan Breitweiser, resonated as the most prominent art thief in history. So that's the end of our story.